Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's work. I'm sitting here at this slightly odd angle because I wanted to be over here near my dictionary stand. Um, I got this dictionary stand from my friend Vince. He left it to me when he died. And I think of him so often when I look up words. I love having an old-fashioned real dictionary, a book, and I love my dictionary stand because it reminds me of my friend Vince. Um, I just want to tell you a little story about Vince because I think it might tell you a little something about me. Um, Vince and I got to know one another when he was 18, and I was 18. We were working at a camp together, and I was about to head off to college, and Vince wasn't going to go to college. He wasn't sure what he was going to do. Not everybody in his family had gone to college. It wasn't really his orientation. But he came up to me the first day when I first met him. He said, "Hey, you're going to college. Tell me, Jeff, what do you think the meaning of the human endeavor is?" And I thought, whoa, who is this guy? Like the meaning of the human endeavor, that's great. So we spent the summer talking about the meaning of the human endeavor. I remember we worked out that you could only really know the meaning of the human endeavor when you were jumping up in the air, and you would know it right at the point where your trajectory up stopped, just before your trajectory down began. That moment where you hovered, that infinitesimally small moment, in fact, it is a zero-time moment where you stop, and that's when you would know the meaning of the human endeavor, but you couldn't hold on to it when you landed. That's what we came up with. Anyway, we became great friends, and he went on to eventually study math and philosophy and do wonderful things. But when he was 30, and this is a picture of him about that time, about when he was 30. When he was 30, he got Lou Gehrig's disease, and and he died within a year. And it was one of the great sadnesses of my life up to that point was losing my close friend, but it also was the time where I decided that I really needed to pursue a particular approach to teaching, a kind of passionate, active approach to teaching that would be in the honor of Vince and everybody else that had ever loved me and I had ever loved. The sense that when you teach and when you learn, you are bringing together all the people you have ever cared about. And so Vince has been with me all year. What I wanted to tell you about was that during the year he was dying, he had this idea that he wanted to build a robot out of Lego, and I was staying with him uh, several times, and we were working on this idea. Now, I had trouble picturing things in 3 dimensions particularly well. He was the real genius. He was, in fact, this picture, you can see he's a sculptor and a mechanic, and he's showing how the scissor jack works by showing it with his legs, how a scissor jack works in lifting an engine. Anyway, so he decided he wanted to build a six-legged robot, and he told me what to do because his hands didn't work very well. Um, Lou Gehrig's disease affects your ability to move, and we had to come up with a whole set of words for the Lego pieces because Lego pieces don't have names. So I remember we called one a foursomer and a sixsomer and a flatsomer, and he would say you need to put a flatsomer in there and so on. And we eventually built this, or I should say, he told me how to build this. I mean, it's so mind-boggling to me that he could just imagine this and have me put it together. Um, and it took us, several weeks of thinking and trying different things. So, uh, in honor of Vince and in honor of all the people who have loved you and all the cool things that have inspired you, we're going to do this Pictionary project. And Pictionary project is going to work like this. I'm going to send you a word, one of the many words in this dictionary here. I'm going to send it to you in email today. And you are going to make 3 images that represent that word. Now let me show you. We've got Pictionary right here, and I'm just going to show you how I've laid out the assignment. Okay. You're going to make one image using Illustrator. You're going to create a graphic that suggests the word. You're going to use Photoshop to create a stencil that suggests the same word. And then a third image that is just a digital image that represents the word. You can stage it however you want. Now, I've got some examples so you'll see what I mean. I pretended that I had gotten the word attention. And here's my version of the word attention. Okay. Now, I've done this two different ways. I've done it one where you just click a next button, and that goes from the graphic to the stencil. Now, this stencil I've done as white on and transparent, and so the black shows through. You'll see it in a different version in a minute. And then finally, a photograph that represents attention, right? I have another version of this. If you come into Pictionary and when it first comes in, you see for version 2 with a rotator, you click here and it will bring you to this interface that I did with Easy Rotator, which was a tool that I had downloaded for plugin for Dreamweaver. I'm not suggesting you have to do this. I just wanted you to see how to do this. Jamil had used it for her self-portraits, and it got me thinking I ought to show you how to do it if you wanted to. So that's the version of the stencil with the black on white. And it does that and then it cycles back around. Now it's important that you put the graphic first, then the stencil, then the photograph, because I want you to move from most abstract to most realistic. And people next week are going to guess, looking at your first image, they're going to make a guess. Then they're going to look at your second image and they're going to refine their guess. And then they're going to look at the third image, your third image, and then they're going to refine their guess again. These are all going to be posted on a forum so we can see one another's guesses and then reflect on how they related to the actual word. But more on that guessing part next week. This week is just for you to create it, and you can certainly just do it as a set of next pages like that. No problem, okay? I will be presenting 3 different tutorials, or actually what I'll do is I'll do a tutorial for Illustrator just to get you just familiar with the very basics on that, a tutorial on making a stencil with Photoshop, and then I'm going to have a tutorial that just talks about the difference between vector images and bitmap images, which is useful for understanding the difference between Photoshop and Illustrator and understanding how graphics work in those 2 different kinds of environments. But you can get started thinking about what you want to do right now, because your word is going to be on its way in just a little bit. All right. Take care, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you look on As You Learn, you'll see that I've been grading everything now that it's all attached to your websites. There were several people who had things that weren't attached yet for one reason or another. I'm not taking off any points. At this point, I'm just trying to get everybody to have everything attached to their website so that that becomes the sort of repository for all of your work. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.